But Kim, how are you doing? First of all,
I'm good. Thank you for having me. Hello. Seen you guys in a while. Good to see you. Thanks for always appreciate the invite.
thank you for joining us. And you also cover the Rockets. So your thoughts on young Mr. Green and what he did or did not do in the first round of the playoffs?
Well, I don't think it makes me real insightful to say that he didn't play well, right? He struggled, but I might be in the minority of people who are ready to jump off the bandwagon. I think it's early, and when I look at players that are young that come into the league, um, and when they kind of start to really take that next step, it takes them a few years. I think the comparison that people in this market do with Amen Thompson is kind of ridiculous. Amen Thompson came into the league in a NBA man player's body, right? So he already came with something that Jalen is still trying to get. So what I think is he didn't play well. We saw one flash in one game, and I think that it's too early to say, as some in this market have said, the Jalen Green experiment has failed. I think the experience of being together as a team matters. Being in the Ime Udoka system matters. So let's see what happens next year, and then decide. Have a better sense of what should happen with a player like Jalen Green. Listen, they have they need somebody who can score, and there are many people who, for some reason, thought that was going to be Reed Shepherd this year. I still don't understand why. Reed didn't have a big history, right? He didn't have a big body of work. He played 1 year, and I believe he came off the bench initially, and he
Mhm.
came into the league, and I'm sure we've seen him shoot. We know he can shoot it, but he just
Sometimes.
wasn't ready. Yeah, he's scared to shoot it. He wasn't ready. And so let's see what happens after another summer with him. I'm really curious to see what Jalen Green does this summer. That's going to be really key. And so, a long answer to your question. I thought he didn't play well. He thought he didn't play well, and I don't think that's not a hard take to come to. Is that Jalen struggled in the playoffs?
I'm glad KD said all that because I'm going to differ with my sister and say I think it's time. Well, by February deadline, February 26th, Jalen will be gone. I he just I don't see him getting better. I don't see him improving. I don't see him figuring it out. I don't believe he's got that dog in him like a lot of the viewers use that terminology here on the round bar of you shows. He's just not that dude. I don't see it. Will KP, what do you think?
I have a question. Chris, do you say that because you don't see that in his personal makeup, or it's just not the right fit for him to become what fans want him to become?
I don't think he's the right fit.
Okay. It's
That's
not it's
ridiculous.
not it's not necessarily he doesn't have the skill set or can't develop the skill set. It's just not the right place for him.
Not the right place for him. I,
Okay.
I just don't see him fitting here. And I'm going to put some of this on him as well because the defenses, and you guys, let me know if you agree or disagree. The defenses the Warriors played on Jalen were similar to the defenses they played against Anthony Edwards.
Mm.
Traps, half court, get him in traps, forcing the ball out of his hands. Anthony Edwards still got it done. He figured it out on his own. Sometimes he had to figure out his own, Didn't wait for his coaches to tell him what you need to do. Jalen didn't do it. I've heard from other colleagues, other former players. Jalen still needs to learn how to play basketball,
Yeah.
NBA basketball. That's something he has to figure out. The Rockets need more help for him there. He needs to go somewhere else. I don't think they're going to help him turn on that light switch, and it doesn't help him. I don't believe for Ime to call him out and say, or not call him out directly, but say post-game shows, it's nice to have a player after the game against Minnesota. It's nice to have a player who can get buckets at the end of games.
But how much of the responsibility lies on the organization as far as player development?
So I think you
So
make some good
go ahead.
points, Chris. I think that's a great question, Kenesha. Somebody said he's in his own head. I think he is. I mean, I go back to last year when Alperen Sengun was out. we saw a very different Jalen Green, right? Spacing is an issue with this team. And so that, we saw him do some of the things that we would have liked to have seen him do in the playoffs. I wondered at the end of last year when we saw that version of the Rockets, what's going to happen? How do they get this with Şengün and a Jalen and trying to have that's an issue for them as a team. So I don't know what Jalen's going to do, which is why I say I'm curious about the summer and how he goes into the fall. I think right now today is too soon, but I think if you see what happens this summer, how do they go into the fall? I mean, you're talking about a few months short of a year when you say the trade deadline from next year. So what do they do differently? I know that Alperen Şengün had some numbers. There are a lot of Şengün fans around. I think he did some good things, but he clogs things up. So they've got a problem with their system too. They've got to figure out offensively some other things to do, and it's not just Jalen. I mean, they could probably call the four of us to try to hit a basket. Nobody could score.
I guess that would be my question as well, Chris. As far as if he's not a fit now, why wait till February 26th? This summer,
ego.
Oh, okay. Because the summer, I think you would get better value in the summer than you would at trade deadline if you're going to make a move.
Oh, I agree. And
I don't think Ime's out on him yet. I think Ime wants to see a little bit. I think it's that. I mean, I don't. The Raphael thing, I don't know sometimes what he's thinking and what he does. I think that Ime wants to see a little bit of what he does after having this playoff run and having him show up or not show up the way he did. How does he respond to that? I think that's from what I know of Ime, he wants to see a little bit of what's the response from Jalen. And it doesn't take you a real long time to know what that is.
I believe, and Tony, and this is not a good thing, saying Jalen was looking as scared as Reed Shepherd. That's not a compliment, clearly.
That is not a compliment.
And Reed's job, his rookie season, was to shoot. That was his job on the floor, shoot the ball. Not think about it, not pause, not hesitate. Your one strength right now as a rookie, the reason they draft you so high, too high, in most of our opinions,
right,
was to shoot the basketball. So when Reed got on the court and hesitated, why am I playing you then, young man? Your defense is not good enough yet right now anyway. So your one job is to shoot the ball. He didn't do that. So they sent him down, G League, all that kind of stuff. But for Jalen, Drillo brings up a great question. How will Jalen handle the organization giving the keys to Amen? Amen, in this era now that Nico Harrison has opened all of our eyes, proving to us that anybody is tradable, Amen Thompson is the closest Rocket to being untradeable on the team, in my opinion.
I agree. Yeah. And talking to people in the organization, I would agree with that as well. And here's the thing. If it mattered enough to Jalen to care about them giving the keys to Amen, I think Jalen would do something. I think either he's going to do something different and say, now is my time. This is it. Like talk about being on the clock, or he's not. I mean, you can't have it both ways. You can't worry about somebody else having the keys and you not turn that switch on that you're talking about. So I don't really think that's an issue.
So, I think Ime, as Kim mentioned, he's given Jalen, they're going to give him as much of an opportunity to prove his worth. November, December, January. It's going to be up to him. I just don't believe he's going to get it done. I just don't. I hope he proves me wrong, because as somebody who covers the Rockets and the shows are more popular when they're winning and all that kind of stuff, hey, I hope he does a great job. I want him to shine. I just don't think he's going to do it. I just don't.
And he's got to look bigger, like not too complicated said. He looks like a high school. He's got to develop somewhat of an NBA body. I mean, we're now far enough into his career where he's got to pack on a little bit of weight. Like he's got to be able to fight through some of those screens and traps, because it wasn't like he was going against an Amen. Steph Curry is not a big dude. Like he's strong and he's fierce, but you've got to fight through that. And if he's not going to be able to do it, he's going to have a hard time in the league. So
And Will and KP, that's one thing. Probably game one in the first round, Jalen struggled to get by Steph on the perimeter.
Yeah, he did.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, young fella, if you were having problems getting past a 37-year-old dude who's not known as a great defensive player, that's a problem.
But psychologically,
Yeah.
here's the question. The playoff experience, the championship experience, the championship culture that is within the Warriors,
Yeah.
whether the Rockets want to admit it or not, the naivete of just not like we're just happy to be here. And yes, no disrespect to what they did over the regular season, but come playoff time,
Right.
it's just different. It's a different mindset. It's a different attitude. It's a different experience.
True.
And other than like Van Vliet, I mean, like,
yeah, and being there matters. You make a point. Like being there matters. You know, we know what playoff Steph is. We know what playoff Jimmy Buckets is. We know what playoff. Listen, if you cover the Rockets fans have PTSD about the Warriors. This team has been, the core of it has been in place. They've got a coach that's been there. Listen, I like Ime Udoka. I think he does a great job, but this is his third season as a head coach.
Mm-hmm.
So experience matters from top to bottom. And the Warriors, you know, on paper, it was a good matchup for the Rockets. But when you talk about the things that Kenitra just mentioned that really matter, that experience, the championship DNA, those things I think matter far more.
I agree with what they said, and I still picked the Rockets to win in 7.
I did too.
Because as a Warriors fan pointed out during our discussions after games, if Jalen had just played C+ basketball in this series, the Rockets would have won the series.
Mm-hmm.
Just average for him, and he didn't do it.
We also had a very quiet Dylan Brooks in this series.
Toward the end, he did too. He disappeared. But
the way this team is won, you didn't really have those things happening in the playoffs. Obviously, you see what Jalen didn't do, and it's easy to say, it's Jalen, right? But the stuff that you would get normally from a Dylan Brooks defensively, right? Defensively, his defense isn't what it used to be because he's focused a little more on his offense, but you didn't get that really from Dylan. And even what you got from Alpi, I don't know. There was a bit too much of the deer in headlights in general from me, except from like a Fred and from a Jabari Smith Jr., who I quite frankly am a friend of.
Well, he didn't get enough touches. Jabari,
they didn't get enough touches.
So I put that on Ime at times. Yeah. Now Jabari needs to improve his ball handling with his left hand.
Team can handle the ball. None of them can handle.
I mean, when they went to triple bigs, Jabari, Shingun, Steven Adams, and Jabari's being guarded by somebody 6'3", 6'4", getting the ball on the block, Ime. This common sense. Didn't do that.
Yeah.
So a lot of different factors into why they did not win in the first round, advance in the first round. Thank you for comment from Samuel and Tony. Everybody, appreciate y'all. Good to see some of these names I haven't seen in a while. Like I said, the band is back together on this edition of Folks Talking Sports.